Welcome back, dear listeners, to another powerful episode of AIBiz. I'm your host, Avik, and today we are diving into a topic that impacts all of us: the money, freedom, and designing a life on your own terms with a little help from AI, right? So, dear listeners, our guest today, please welcome Jeff Kikel. So, welcome to the show.
Hey, Avik. Thanks for having me on today.
Amazing. Dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Jeff. So, Jeff is a financial strategist with over 25 years of experience helping individuals and business owners take the control of their finances, build side businesses, and plan for what he calls Freedom Day. Yeah. And now,
Mhm.
Freedom Day is not just about a kind of certain age or traditional retirement, but it's all about the moment, that moment when your income works for you, not the other way around. And he has coached hundreds of clients to reach their Freedom Day by teaching smart financial planning, creating alternative income streams, and investing strategically. So, today we are adding a new dimension, like how AI tools can accelerate that journey, whether kind of it's managing finances, identifying opportunities for the side hustles, or even predicting smarter investment decisions. So, Jeff is the author of 6 books, and his upcoming book, Freedom Day: Plan Your Exit from Your Job or Business, is packed with the actionable strategies for anyone wanting to take charge of their financial future. So, if you have ever wondered like how to build wealthier faster, start a side hustle that actually works, and redefine retirement on your own terms with AI as your ally. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Avi. Glad to be on. I'm super excited to have talk on this topic because this, the AI revolution. If people have not embraced it yet, you better embrace it quick.
Yeah.
It'll leave you behind. I look at AI as the next generation of, we went from industrial to information to, I think AI is the next generation of growth. And, if you're not embracing it, you're going to be left behind.
Mm, definitely true. Yeah. And do you find that the AI tools like budgeting apps or cash flow planners help people visualize and track their Freedom Day more clearly than they could before?
Oh yeah. Well, I think,
Mhm.
the way I teach people to use, and that's adapted over the last several years as I started to experiment with tools, starting with ChatGPT. I started to realize that this was an incredible world because I was using it in my own business. So I would sit down. One of the first things I really started to do with my businesses was, all right, I need to kind of revitalize or kind of adjust what I was doing. One of the key things I did from the very beginning was I just had ChatGPT act as a business consultant to me, and literally just putting in a prompt of, I need you to, act like a business consultant who has 30 years experience working with people in the financial services industry for one of my businesses. And, you know, that helped, that back and forth conversation helped me to kind of look at, okay, how do I adapt my business to the future? Because I don't want to be doing what I was doing years ago. I built a very successful financial practice that I ended up selling and started again, literally from ground zero. And I'm like, I don't have another
Mm.
10 years to build this, as hard as I do, smarter, faster this time. And that was one of the things I did. So now as I coach other people, I'm telling them, okay, if you're thinking about setting up a side hustle, here's some ideas, but you need to start leveraging AI to help you to kind of figure out, okay, how do I do this? Or what should I be doing based on this?
Mm, true. And listeners, the difference between planning for a day versus an age can completely change your approach. And AI makes it possible, like, to kind of simulate different scenarios in the real time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you can, yeah, I mean, so you can see like how small decisions today affect your financial independence for tomorrow, right? So that's important. And also, like, many of our listeners are interested in the side hustle, or you can say like home based businesses. So
Mhm.
what types of side income or businesses do you see as most viable for someone wanting, I mean, wanting to accelerate their freedom day?
Well, okay, example of something I did this last year.
Okay.
I was, I've been working with multiple bookkeepers over the, 12 years that I've owned businesses. And I would have bookkeepers I worked with that were really good at
Mm,
certain things,
mm,
but they were really terrible at other things. So they were really good at classifying transactions and they were good at keeping, they were really terrible at kind of developing the planning side of things. So they weren't very useful to me from the perspective of, okay, based on the data, what can we do to increase our business? And so I give you a perfect example. I was like, well, I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I had to create what I wanted. And so I said, I am not a bookkeeper, but
mm,
I want to create a bookkeeping business. And one of the first things I did was I said, AI. So I went to actually Grok instead of ChatGPT because Grok, I think, is a little bit better at the, it's better at figuring things out, is the best way I can explain it. It's just really good at the things. And I posed the question to Grok. Okay,
mm,
I want to have the minimal number of employees
mm,
possible, and I need to create a bookkeeping business that not only handles the bookkeeping piece, but
mm,
also looks at the like virtual CFO type
yeah.
work or virtual comptroller work, as well as the tax side.
Mm,
Not by experience in any of those areas. I have experience doing my own taxes. I have
mm,
experience with bookkeeping. I understand the books and all that. I just don't want to do the work. So, how can I automate that as much as possible? So, AI was able to come up, Grok was able to come up with a strategy for me on how to do this, and how to automate most of the business with minimal employees. So I launched my bookkeeping business, Profit Pilot Tax and Financial Services in August. And we're already picking up. I pick up on average about 10 clients
mm,
using AI to help me with the marketing side, but also it's pretty much automated. So it's me and a small team of bookkeepers that are based in the Philippines, that are working with these clients. And, what we're doing differently is we're not just doing the books, but we're also planning with the clients and helping them to grow their businesses. And, we're having unbelievable, success. I've been testing this over the last about year with a few like it's of mine. But I mean, that's a great example. Somebody could become a bookkeeper in no time at all. Bookkeeping is not very complicated. If you go through, I'll give you an example. You go through Intuit. Intuit has all the training and it's free on Intuit's website. So they'll certify you in keeping and, um, you know, QuickBooks Online and all. I mean, there's just multiple certifications that you can get for them for free to teach you how to do it. And then you can start a bookkeeping business. Great business to do. If you do it just yourself, I mean, it's basically a job, but it can be a nice little side hustle. You can make decent money doing it, a couple $100 per client per month. I mean, that adds up pretty quick. Um, but it's something that's very easy. Or you could do that. You be the salesperson on the front side and hire a bookkeeping team like I did on the back side. And you're basically picking the different, and it's an infinitely scalable business because the bookkeeping team I have that I'm working with is run by a US based CPA. It's run by a CMA, chartered management accountant, and then they have a whole team, and it's infinitely scalable. So I'm not going to be the thing that holds the business back. All I have to do is sell on the front end and work with the clients in the areas that I'm really good at, which is the financials that somebody else is doing the bookkeeping. That's one example of a business that took me probably less than a month and a half to set up, from, the idea to all the marketing stuff, getting the team together, and then taking it to market at that point. Very simple, and it's a nice business. It's service business, very little costs, is the employees that I have and a little bit of marketing dollars. The rest of it, I can control the margins at that point.
Exactly. Wow. And so, like for the people, for anyone feeling stuck in a job or business that doesn't pay or maybe drains them, what is the first actionable step towards planning their freedom day? What is it?
Well, I mean, so the first step really is you got to know you've got to understand what your budget is. So I created what's called the Freedom Day method. It's really what I learned, it was what I did over the past 10 years to get myself to my Freedom Day. So the first step is you got to know where you're at. So you got to know how much money's coming in. You got to know how much is going out. If that's, if there's more going out than coming in, that you got a problem you've got to fix at that
Yeah.
point. If there's more coming in than going out, okay, well, then we know we're not going to need all of that money coming in if we want to replace our income at some point. So the first thing we need to do is calculate what our minimum required month. What does it take to run the household? Keep shelter, keep food coming in, have a little bit of fun mixed in there. What is my kind of monthly budget for that? And for a lot of people, it's surprising that they don't really need as much money as they think they need. They may be making 150 grand a year, but they only spend, 70. Okay, well, I own 70 at that point. So what can I do to start bridging that gap between 0 and 70, to start building a little side business or side hustle that I can replace that income. So that's the key. You got to figure that out first. Second, you need to dream a little bit. This was the part that I missed and that I tell my clients over the years, because I didn't know this really was there, is you have to dream a little bit. So you've got to create a bucket list for yourself. What are the things that you just absolutely need to do before you die? And that's in multiple areas. It's everything from, the obvious. Okay, well, here's the places I want to travel to. Here's the thing. Here's the experiences I want to have in life. To relationships. How do I want to improve relationships? How do I want to get a better, you know, religion, spirituality, whatever you call it? How do I improve that in my life? All those things, how do I improve my health? How do I mental health? All those things, you want to have goals for that. And, once you've set those goals, I have 10 categories and I tell people to do 10 goals in each of those categories. So that gets you 100 to start with. And then once you have that, pick three, three things that you can do in the next 6 months for less than $500. So it's pretty reasonable goal. Once you've done that, that's where the side hustles come in. And it's what I call retraining your brain. So step 4 is retrain your brain. Okay, I need to make $500 so that I can do this goal that I have, or I can do this bucket list item.
Yeah.
What can I do for 500 bucks? Well, if I'm thinking of the bookkeeping business, typical client, I'm going to charge between 250 and 350 per month to do their bookkeeping and other financial services work for their business.
Yeah.
Well, you know, all right, let's assume that I have a 50% margin. I need to get about 3 clients and I'm making that $500 per month right there. recurring revenue. It's going to come in every month. I'm making that $500 a month. Okay. Once I get myself to that $500 a month, I get to reward myself with one of my things that for less than $500. Boom. That makes me feel good. My brain is retrained from how am I going to afford this to what do I need to do to afford this? Does that make sense?
Mm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Definitely. Amazing. Wow. And also, like, I mean, if someone wants to connect with you, what will be the great medium to connect?
Well, I mean, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm, Jeff Kikel at LinkedIn. So Jeff Kikel. In addition to that, you can go to my website, www.freedomdaymethod.com.
Amazing. Okay. Lovely. So, Jeff, thank you so much for sharing your insights and the practical strategies. And I would say that you have helped us see that the financial freedom is not a kind of distant dream. It's a series of intentional steps enhanced by the technology like AI, right? So,
Mhm.
for all for all the listeners, think about your own freedom day. What small steps can take uh, you can take today, and maybe a kind of side hustle, a smarter investment, or a kind of cash flow tweak assisted by AI to move closer to it, right? So, if you want to learn more about it, check out Jeff's book, and especially his upcoming Freedom Day. Plan your exit from your job or business for those of you ready to take control of your financials and life as well. This is a must listen resource. And also remember, healthy life aren't just about the well-being, but they are all about creating the freedom to live your life on your terms. And until next time, this is your host Avik, and this is AIBiz. So thank you so much.